This is Mac OS Ken.
New MacBook Pros wrap Apple's hardware week, getting ready for Q4 earnings, and a surprising announcement from Apple TV+. It is Thursday, the 31st of October, 2024. Happy Halloween, boys and ghouls. I'm Blood Spray, and this is news from macOS Ken. Brought to you by macOS Blood? Should it be macOS Blood? That seems dark. Anyway, this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Incogni, helping you take back your personal data. Get 60% off an annual plan with code macOSKen at incogni.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Two stories and a chaser today. We're ending Apple's 3-day week of announcements for the Mac, prepping for today's Q4 and fiscal year 2024 earnings call, and hearing news of an unexpected sequel. We'll start back at the Teletubby hideout, where Apple's senior VP of hardware engineering John Turnus played host again, on a video announcing new processors and new MacBook Pros. Now, if I'm honest, I kind of felt like I was being gaslit Wednesday by Apple's processor press release, in that the company said it was announcing M4 Pro and M4 Max, two new chips that, along with M4, bring far more power-efficient performance and advanced capabilities to the Mac. I guess we're supposed to ignore the M4 Pro info that hit in the Mac Mini press release the day before. Try to act surprised. It's hard to say that the M4, M4 Pro, and M4 Max run good, better, best. While it could be argued that the M4 line is better than the M3 and the M3 is better than the M2, the three grades of M4 really depend on what you need, what you want, and how much you have to spend. Honestly, having said that the M4 is better than the two lines before it, I could totally see myself getting an M2 or M3 MacBook Air because for writing, editing audio, and the very occasional video stuff I do, either of those would be more than enough machine. It doesn't seem that Apple would mind labeling M4, M4 Pro, and M4 Max as good, good, and good. The processor press release says M4 is phenomenal for entrepreneurs, students, creators, and more. The M4 Pro scales up technologies in the M4 for researchers, developers, engineers, creative pros, and other users with more demanding workflows. And finally, M4 Max is said by the company to be the ultimate choice for data scientists, 3D artists, and composers who push pro workflows to the limit. And what machines will these M4, M4 Pro, and M4 Max processors power? Well, I know we're supposed to memory hold the M4 Pro Mac Mini, but that's a thing. The pinnacle of Apple's short week of Mac updates, though, is, or was, an update to the MacBook Pro line. What's new? Why, the M4 Pro and M4 Max, of course. And the M4. Well, those and an all-new nano texture display option, a 12-megapixel center stage camera, and, for the Pro and Pro Max models, Thunderbolt 5 ports. Also, a full day's work. According to Apple, the industry-leading performance per watt of the M4 family means that users get up to 24 hours of battery life, raising the bar of what users can do on a single charge. All the new MacBook Pros start with 16 gigabytes of RAM, as do all of the other older Macs Apple now sells. Sneaking the news into the MacBook Pro press release, Apple says the world's most popular laptop, MacBook Air, starts with 16 gigabytes of memory for models powered by the M2 and M3 processors. That is a change the company's made without changing the price. The 16 to start is now as low as memory goes, ending the Mac's 8GB era, according to a piece from Mac Rumors. As for the new machines, the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M4 starts at $1,599, $1,499 with the education discount. The 14-inch MacBook Pro with M4 Pro starts at $1,999, $1,849 for educational purposes. Huh? The 16-inch MacBook Pro with M4 Pro starts at $2,499, $2,299 for Joe and Jen College, and the 16-inch MacBook Pro with M4 Max starts at $3,499, $3,199 for slipping into your book bag. All models are available in black and silver, because colorful fun is for simps, apparently, not professionals. The latest from the MacBook Pro line went up for order yesterday, Wednesday, the 30th of October. It will land in the hands of consumers and on the tables of Apple stores and Apple-authorized resellers 1 week from tomorrow, Friday, the 8th of November. Now, you might be surprised to learn that the new MacBook Pros can accommodate something called Apple Intelligence. We have, of course, talked a lot about what that includes now, what it will include soon, and what it will include later. If you're getting any of the new Macs Apple announced this week, you're also getting a Day 1 update. A piece from Mac Rumors says Apple on Wednesday released macOS Sequoia 15.1 for the new M4 Mac models, which are shipping with a special version of macOS Sequoia 15.0. At first I thought it was strange that was released well over a week before the new machines. Then I realized it's probably for the cool kids who got review units from Cupertino. Anyway, if you want your swanky new Mac to do the Apple Intelligence thing, you will need to install macOS Sequoia 15.1 once the machine is yours. A quick note before we wrap our 3-day week of week-long Mac announcements. I'm told by one I trust that Apple goofed on its compare and contrast for the new Mac Mini models versus the old ones. He says the measurements I shared with you on the new M4 Mac Mini units versus the older models were incorrect. In my defense, the measurements I gave you came right from Apple's site. I'm inclined to believe my friend, though, since he had one of the old machines in question right there with him. So, let's just say the new Mac Mini is smaller and be done with it. Cool? I'm going to pretend I heard you say, "Cool, Ken. Cool." More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Incogni, helping you take back your personal data. Since signing up with Incogni, all of my numbers have gone up but one. I've told you about Incogni for the last week or so. Make an account, give them permission to work on your behalf, and Incogni gets to work, asking data brokers to remove your data, dealing with any objections the data brokers have, and doing it all again and again. Whenever a new record is created on a data broker's site, Incogni is ready with another removal request. So what's this about my numbers? Incogni has a dashboard that lets you keep up with their progress on your behalf. Since I signed up, the number of takedown requests they've sent has gone up, the number of requests completed has gone up, and the number of data brokers who say they will never recollect my information has gone up. The only number that's gone down, the number of requests in progress, as Incogni sees them to completion. I am a huge fan of this service. Whether you want to slow the flow of spam, stifle the annoying robocalls, or guard against identity theft, Incogni is ready to work with you and for you. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. That is a big savings, and it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. INCOGNI. Get 60% off an annual plan with code MacOSKen at incogni.com/MacOSKen. Alright, fun's over for the week as far as hot new hardware is concerned. Time now to focus on the dollars and cents. Later today, Apple will report numbers for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 24 as well as for the full fiscal year. Who's got thoughts? Who does not? Well, lots of people probably, but lots of people do. People like Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote earlier this week, which basically had him doing a cut and paste from a note a couple of weeks back. Seriously, it was the same wording in both notes. Points revisited or reproduced. Bearish sentiment of late has led many analysts to lower iPhone sales expectations. He and his think Apple will meet its guidance, which could enable the stock to work higher, while the bears worry about iPhone sales in China. Daryanani thinks the worry is overblown and could be offset by growth in developing markets and a strong upgrade cycle in the US. And yes, he thinks there's a strong upgrade cycle happening here. The analyst is also bullish on the outlook for wearables and services revenue growth, same as it ever was. Net, wraps the note. We think Apple is well positioned to outperform against low expectations in the September quarter, and more importantly, on the December quarter guidance. Mr. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $250. Mad props to Apple Insider, which gathered a number of notes from financial firms. Firms like Morgan Stanley, which is looking for Apple to deliver a 2% beat on revenue for the quarter and a 4% beat on earnings per share. Unlike Mr. Daryanani, they see weak guidance for the December quarter. They are still into the shares, though, suggesting that any stock underperformance will be short-lived. Morgan Stanley has an overweight rating on Apple shares and a price target of $273. Seeing something similar is JP Morgan. Apple Insider has that firm looking for a better-than-expected report for September, but weaker than expected for the December quarter. The firm's not pleased with the apparent slow start for the iPhone 16 sales, though they think those will pick up as Apple Intelligence picks up. JP Morgan has a positive rating on Apple shares and a price target of $265. Loop Capital is more excited about iPhone, recently revising revenue expectations for the category. The supply chain is doing better than it previously forecast, according to the report, with signs of strong demand for the device. They've got a buy rating on Apple shares and a price target of $300. And finally, TD Cowen seems bullish on the September numbers, looking for revenue growth of 6% versus the same quarter a year earlier. They have also adjusted iPhone sales expectations, up from 46 million units to 48 million. Not that Apple says how many units it sold anymore. Mac and iPad will be fine. Wearables will see significant growth, though it's unclear whether that's about September quarter results or December quarter guidance. Services will keep crushing it, though EU regulatory risks remain a modest headwind. TD Cowen has a buy rating on Apple shares and a price target of $250. Flying a bit higher, the Apple Insider piece had 3 aggregators averaging out expectations. Yahoo Finance surveyed 26 analysts for an average revenue estimate of $94.4 billion for the September quarter on earnings per share of $1.55. TipRanks took a look at expectations from 25 analysts. yielding an average revenue estimate of $94.3 billion on earnings per share of $1.59. And finally, Zacks didn't say how many people they polled, though they ended up with an average revenue estimate of $94.4 billion on earnings per share of $1.54. Now, you could probably say this next part with me, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Apple's Q4 numbers will hit after the close of trading today. Look for that press release around 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Then at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern, Apple execs will talk about last quarter, fiscal year 2024, and offer guidance on what's ahead. Plus, they'll answer some questions posed by analysts. You can hear the call as it happens on Apple's site. It will be made available as a podcast soon after, and we will recap points of interest right here tomorrow. And finally today, this was definitely not on my bingo card. Apple TV Plus issued a press release Wednesday announcing a sequel to the Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Monaghan action comedy, The Family Plan. The first one was about Dan Morgan, husband, father, car salesman. Thing is, though, he used to be a government assassin tasked with eliminating the world's deadliest threats. That past comes back, and on the run he and the family go, only he tells them it's a vacation because they don't know he used to be a killer. I assume the family made it through because now there is a sequel planned. According to the press release, that takes place during Christmas in Europe. Dan has planned the perfect vacation for the Morgans, but his past continues to haunt them in unexpected ways. The whole cast is back, so is director Simon Cellan-Jones. No word on a release date for the next Family Plan. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan with code macOSKen at incogni.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.